5 weeks of tinkering and it's come down to this. This is your Game Week 1 preview. Welcome to the Gianni YouTube show. Hope you guys are well. Are we excited? I think we are. So coming up in today's show, we're going to look at still some of the big questions facing us as FPL managers this week. And still one question we're looking at for me is, do we go any Liverpool players? Is it Liverpool yes or Liverpool no? And look, there's 3 standout picks at Liverpool still. It's Trent, it's Salah. For me, I think it's still Darwin. In my head, someone that I'm considering. Firstly, I think we can wait and see. The fixtures aren't great, and I think I'm happy to wait. Darwin's affordable, and yes, I like it. And I think it's very much formation dependent. If you're going with a front 3, he becomes way easier. If you're going with a front 2, I think you can wait and see. And I think someone like Watkins is a better option. But let's look at Trent and Mo, because Trent is a really interesting case. At 8 million, we've not had a defender price like that for a very long time. But what does he offer? Well, if he's playing right back and he inverts, which is what's going to happen, he's going to invert, just like he did from game week 30 onwards, then we're going to see Trent attacking for fun. We're going to see Trent get assists and we're going to see Trent get goals. And I know we haven't seen that necessarily pre-season, but we did see it game week 30 to 38 last season. So look, let's compare Trent's heat map last year from game week 1 to 29, which we can see on the left-hand side, and game week 30 to 38, which we can see on the right-hand side. This is a different player. Game week 1 to 29, we have your traditional right back. And we know with Trent, we still get tons of returns, him playing like that. But when he takes up those more central areas, and he's in and around the 18-yard box often, sometimes in shooting positions, he scores goals, he gets assists, and we saw that. Game week 30 to 38, he was arguably the game's best player. He was a must-have, and I don't like using that term. We only really use must-have for Haaland. Well, Trent was one of those guys. So we could go to Trent this year and go, we knew he was going to play inverted again. We know this is where he pops up. Why did we not pick him game week 1? Well, money is tight, and there are other good defenders out there. I am gutted not to be able to get Trent this year. And I think there is a time when I'll be moving towards him. And I think it'll probably be fairly early. But for the time being, I'm risking it without because the money is just simply too much. And it's what can you do with that 3 million? Buy the good 5 million defender that might not quite get Trent's point, but he'll get close. And with the 3 million, you can do so much. So there's the Trent argument. The Salah argument for me is all about captaincy. If you're going to captain Salah a couple of times in the first month, 4 or 5 times in the first 8 weeks, buy him. Buy him because game week 2, he's the best captain, for example. A nice alternative to Haaland. I can't see myself going against Haaland that much, therefore I'm going no Salah. But I can see an argument for both these guys. Fun and look, they feel at times a little bit differential. So that's question number 1. Done. What's the best formation to play? Question number 2. Is it 3-4-3? Is it 3-5-2? For me, there's so many good midfielders in the game. I'm struggling to look at anything that's not 5 in midfield. The answer here is it's definitely a back 3, right? Last year, we all set up as big at the back 4s and 5s. This year, it's a back 3, and you have some enablers on your bench, defenders. You get more money in your 11. I guess look, we all play with 7 attackers, right? Whether it's a midfield 5 and a front 2, or a front 4 and a front 3 and a midfield 4. The big question is, who is your 7th attacker? If you're going a midfield 5, your 7th attacker is probably a 6.5 million mid, of which there are tons of good assets. We all speak about Mbomo and Matoma, but there's also March and Eze, and I think Mudryk could be a differential shout. There's good 6.5, Diaby. So do we go for a 6.5 mid as our 7th attacker, currently where I'm at, or do you go for a cheaper forward as your 7th attacker? For example, a 5.5 forward like Danjuma or like João Pedro. For me, the options in the midfield bracket, as I've listed, there's so many, you go for a midfield 5, but it's personal taste. I completely get that. Third big question for me has got to be all about goalkeepers. Many of you watching this will have an Anna and a 4 million. I'm there at the moment, but I've started looking at rotating pairs, guys. And why have I started doing that? Well, we might have a 4 million goalkeeper in Matt Turner at Forest, who's their number 1. Now, Forest, if they have a number 1 at 4 million, will keep some clean sheets at home. So as soon as you see that, you go, okay, who do I rotate with? We think the other 4 million goalkeeper could be Areola, but the last pre-season game for West Ham, Fabianski started. Areola hasn't played well pre-season either. So I'm not convinced on Areola. I could be more convinced with Turner, although it must be noted Forest are still perhaps looking to pursue Jordan Henderson, to go for Henderson. And if Forest do go for Henderson, then maybe Turner's not a guaranteed number one. You'd think if he's moving there, though, he's getting assurances he's going to be the number one, or why leave Arsenal? Why go from Arsenal number 2 to Forest number 2? But if Turner is the Forest number 1, who does he rotate best with? He rotates well with Steele at Brighton. He rotates well with Johnston at Palace. But for me, the best rotation I've seen is with Jordan Pickford at Everton. Now, I think Sean Dyche is going to resort to type. Pre-season, they've kept clean sheets. Pre-season, they've looked defensively sound. I think we're going to see good clean sheets at Everton, and the fixtures are there. Now, if you take the rotating pair of Turner of Forest and Pickford of Everton, this is what you get. There's a lot of home games in there. Fulham, Wolves, Burnley, Luton, Bournemouth. You get Luton at home again, so Luton at home twice in just 3 weeks. There's some really nice fixtures here. Now, this saves you 0.5 on going Onana and Turner, or Onana and Areola. Is it worth it? I'm not sure. It probably will be, but it will cause a lot of a headache. It depends what you're doing with the 0.5. I don't feel like I desperately need the 0.5. So I'm going safe. I'm going Onana, I think. But this tempts me. It really does. And I think this is the best rotating I've possibly seen, because I like the teams. I like Forest at home. I like Pickford under Dyche. I think Pickford under Dyche resorting to type. Dyche we saw at Burnley was brilliant goalkeepers. Do you remember in years gone by we used to have, like, say, Nick Pope, for example, was like a set and forget for us under Sean Dyche? Because what Burnley did was they kept loads of clean sheets, especially at home, which is what Everton are going to do with Pickford at Goodison Park. But also they faced shots that were often low XG shots, which were, because they were so deep that it was like 2 banks of 4, teams were often getting frustrated. They couldn't break them down and they were shooting from distance. Shots from distance means easy catches for Pope quite often. Easy save points. Pickford's also good with his feet, so possibly good with the bonus points, better than Pope. But you'll get saves and you'll get clean sheets. So one to consider. So let's have a look at how my draft is looking. So this is where I'm at, guys. We've seen a few changes off the back of the Jesus injury. The big change off the back of the Jesus injury is I'm not now invested in triple Arsenal attack. And I wanted to watch Sunday's Community Shield and go, Nketiah started and played really well. I'm still going to keep triple Arsenal attack. Or Trossard has started and played really well. I'm going to invest in triple Arsenal attack. I'm not sold by Havertz. I don't want to commit there. So at the moment, I'm on double Arsenal attack. Now, if I'm double Arsenal attack, it leaves a slot for Gabriel. So the way I formed my draft was I had Colwill in this slot. I had Chilwell and Colwill before. But actually, I had money in the bank, so I can easily upgrade Colwill to, say, Gabriel. And this team has no money in the bank. So it's a Nana in goal, a back three of Estupinan, Colwill, and John Stones. The midfield 5 is Saka, Martinelli, Foden, Rashford and Matoma. The front 2 is Watkins and Haaland. And then I've got Chilwell sub 1 on my bench. So one good sub option. What could change here? I could get itchy feet over Foden. And if I got itchy feet over Foden, it's a very simple, easy transfer. It's an upgrade, you could argue, to Bruno Fernandes. But then I got to save $1 million if I go for someone like Bruno instead of Foden. Now, if I go Bruno instead of Foden, where do I save the $1 million? Well, Gabriel could go to a 4 million defender, and Chilwell is in the 11 every week. Or you downgrade 2 defenders at 0.5 each. So Gabriel goes back down to Colwill, and John Stones could go to 5 million. Now, at 5 million, I still want Man City cover. I think Man City defence is being a bit overlooked, and I think Man City defence is the best in the league. So Diaz and Stones are the best. They're 5.5. Akanji is 5. Aki is 5. A new signing, Gvardiol, has just come in at 5. Now, I think Gvardiol, when he starts playing week in, week out, could be a brilliant saving on John Stones. And actually, you just go, there's good threat in the opponent's box. Similar goal threat, save the 0.5. But for game week 1, knowing Gvardiol was unlikely to start, I think I'm happy with going John Stones, but definitely food for thought. Gvardiol coming in at 5 million, came in at 5 million on Monday, and Højlund came in at 7 million. Some nice price additions there. FPL being generous, I think, again. But look, I mentioned Foden there. Why would I get itchy feet over Foden? Surely you're selling Foden, Gianni. Everyone sold Foden off the back of Sunday. He didn't start in the Community Shield. I don't know. I don't think that matters too much. I don't think that matters too much at all. What's it taught us? It's taught us he's not in Pep's best 11 when he plays tough teams. Did we think he was in Pep's 11 against tough opposition anyway? Well, last season shows us no. He'll always go Bernardo on the right-hand side in the Champions League when it matters, in cup games when it matters, in difficult Premier League games when it matters. And then Kovacic has been signed, and obviously Kovacic alongside Rodri against tough opposition makes complete sense. But when they play Burnley on the opening game, and when they play, who do they have game week 3? Sheffield United game week 3, Fulham game week 4. How are they going to break down low blocks? Are they going to want Kovacic and Rodri, or are they going to give Foden a chance in the kind of Gundogan role? Do they need Bernardo Silva on the right when he controls the tempo, but can he get in behind? Foden can do those things. I think Foden's still got those same 2 routes to the team in addition to the other routes we already know about. And I think Foden's still going to be good for minutes in these opening 4 games. And with that in mind, I think I'm going to keep the patience, keep the faith. Now, if we were to hear that Foden isn't going to start game week 1 because we get an early league, maybe that changes my thinking and I'd go, okay, Foden's out game week 1, I'm going to sell him. But I think I'm sticking to my guns on this one. Let me know in the comments. Many of you will be screaming at the screen going, just go Bruno. It's such an obvious decision. I'm not sure it is. I think Foden's a really nice differential. You know me, I don't like to be too template. And already I feel like my team's heading in a very templated direction. It was different with the triple Arsenal attack. But you stick Gabriel in this and it just becomes a little bit more boring. And that doesn't sit comfortably with me. We have to speak, though, about Gabriel Jesus replacements as our next feature. This was a burning question that I didn't address at the top. But Gabriel Jesus replacements, I mean, we can see I've gone Ollie Watkins. I think there's 3 or 4 obvious directions you can go in. One is Watkins. We'll talk about him more in a minute. You could look at Darwin, but you might worry about minutes. You could look at Nkunku, but you're worried about the injury. You could look at Jackson. Absolutely. Chelsea, 7 million. Really good pre-season. Or perhaps you go down to a João Pedro at 5.5. Pedro took the penalty for Brighton with Gross on the pitch at the weekend. That's 2 penalties pre-season for Pedro. He is definitely the Brighton talisman, the penalty taker. 90 minutes at the weekend, playing number 10 behind Welbeck. Pedro's a really nice option. With all those players that I've just mentioned, I still like Ollie Watkins. I think the fixture game week 1 isn't as tough as perhaps it looks on paper. I think Newcastle away is tough, but that could suit Watkins and the counter-attack that we know he likes to play. But then game week 2 and 3, he's got some really nice fixtures. Watkins has been scoring for fun in pre-season as well. Just a very easy replacement for Gabriel Jesus. And then come game week 3 or 4, if you want to move to Chelsea forward, because by then we know it's Jackson or we know it's Nkunku, you've easily got the funds to do it because you've got Money and Watkins there. So that's where I'm going. Fairly sensible pick for my Jesus replacement. Maybe you go back to Jesus come game week 2 or 3 and you don't go for an Arsenal defender. And again, that's definitely a thought that I will take to my team selection video, which will be out on Thursday, guys. I might leave that 3rd Arsenal spot open for the return of Jesus. I'm thinking about it. Because look, Gabriel's a good option, but there are other good options. I love Udogie, the left back at Spurs, 4.5. I love Colwell as an option. You go up to Reece James. You could go Gvardiol, But look, let's talk about some of the other defenders I like, and that is Chilwell at 5.5. We haven't spoken about Chilwell because he was on my bench, but I just want to show you the heat map of the last Chelsea friendly. They drew this friendly 1-1 with Dortmund. Chilwell played really well. Chelsea played well. Look at the average position maps here. We know Chelsea fullbacks get forward, but Chilwell has been told by Poch to get forward at will. And we never really compare Chilwell and Reece James and go, one's way ahead of the other. They're usually about the same. Well, in this team, it looks like Reece is being told to go and Chilwell's being told to advance. Now, this isn't just a sample from one game. This is consistent throughout pre-season. Chilwell has been the more advanced player. Now, Chilwell is number 21 on screen. Reece James is number 24. There is a big difference here. There is no contest at the moment which one you pick, in my opinion. I still think there might be an argument for both, because I think Reece James has a chance of being on penalties, especially if Nkunku's injured. They'll share corners, but Chilwell will shoot on sight and he'll get open play chances because of the positions he takes up. This heat map is super impressive. Fullbacks aren't doing this at the moment in the Premier League. Klopp's fullbacks, Pep's fullbacks, even the United fullbacks, they don't really bomb on. Like, not quite like a couple of years ago. Things have shifted with the fullback position. We're seeing more of them inverted. But we're seeing it with Chilwell. He's one of the few that will still consistently do it. He'll be in those attacking sort of front three positions. I use Fantasy Football Scout for all of my data, and heat maps are one of my favourite parts. And the fact you can filter it per game week and you can go back, really, really useful. Where do I sign up? Well, click the link in Gianni's bio and you get 30% off pre-season deal. It's the best time to sign up. You get a wealth of data with Fantasy Football Scout. You get to read extra articles, extra videos, loads of content. Loads is free, so sign up regardless. Access to free stuff if you like it. You can go to the paid version. But look, let me get to some differentials. Got to touch on some before we go. And if, by the way, you haven't already joined my mini league, make sure you join it. The code is M9DVYH. Look forward to you being in my mini league, guys. But look, 3 differentials. They're all 7 million midfielders, right? Consider these guys if you want to go different game week 1. Trossard, he's 5% owned. I still think there's a good chance he starts game week 1, even though he didn't start in the Community Shield. When he plays, he makes the difference. Arteta sees that. Could be as the number 9, could be as the number 8. I don't think it'll be wide left. I think Martinelli is safe. Solly March, 2.8% on the right. Definitely safe for minutes in the first few weeks. Why is Matoma like 35% owned and March 2.8? I'm not quite sure. I think Matoma could be the better pick, but March definitely, we know from last season, could be a really nice option. And then, guys, it's Anthony. I know what you're thinking. Why he hasn't spoken about Anthony all pre-season. Why are you speaking about Anthony now, Gianni? I don't mind Anthony. I think he's gone a bit under the radar. I don't personally like him as a player, but as an FPL asset, when you look at the first 3 fixtures, United will score goals. Anthony's average position maps and heat maps, again from the weekend, look at this. He's super high, he's super advanced. This looks like a bit of a Mo Salah average position map. Consider Anthony if you want a real sort of left field punt. I know if you're looking at United mids, you're going Rashford and you're going Bruno. But Anthony definitely is someone I've thought that would be a whole load of fun because he's 1.7% owned, guys. Like, sometimes you just want that. I'm starting the season fairly safe, but Anthony would be loads of fun. Look, I don't see him as a long-term pick, but short-term, I think he could be a good player to look at. Guys, I'll be doing these game week previews every week, always at the start of the week. So make sure you catch them on my YouTube channel. And by doing that, you can subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell when you do. So guys, thank you so much for all the subscribing and the liking this preseason. I'll see you on Thursday. Don't miss this one. It'll be my final team selection video of preseason, all ready for game week 1. See you very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.